Make a quick video comparing these little handhelds. I have the same game on them, and just so you can see the screen, and I'll actually, how do I turn up the brightness? Can I? Yeah. Alright, so I have the shaders turned off, and so you can see the screen. The brightness is going to be a little different, but I really want to show the screen. And the aspect ratio, I changed them, kind of make them as much full screen as I can, except for this and this Note 10, because I favor the curved sides of the Note 10, and then with the aspect ratio, it just looks nice. So I'll show you it. But in any case, this is how the retro flag GPI case works. And for all of these, I'm using RetroArch. I'm using Emulation Station where I can, and where I can't, I'm using whatever OS, either a custom built one, like on the Linux-based devices, and the Android is just compiled with Emulation Station. With this one is Retro Flag, so this one I'm using Raspberry Pi, and I'm running the core of Game Boy Advance, running Pokemon Emerald on Game Boy Advance. Let me turn up the volume. So this is going to be the worst one. Is this the volume? Contrast. So this is the brightness, even though this is, so that's the darkest. This is the brightest that it gets. Let me zoom in a bit there. And then the volumes on this side. Here it's skipping pretty bad. Very laggy. Because it's a Raspberry Pi Zero, so it does run Game Boy Color better. Game Boy Advance it struggles with, and anything above that. Okay, so in any case, I won't talk to the next person, but just to show you. Alright, see the colors, not too bad. Not too bad to have the original feel of the Game Boy Advance. Uses 3 AA batteries, so it is pretty heavy. It's got these buttons here for certain games to use, not in this one. And ABYX layout. Very, very basic. This one's really nice. It has safe shutdown, so you could just turn it off. But it takes a while because it's got a code. It's this one's with Recalbox Emulation Station. Again, kind of built. So that's that one. And I'll show these flip devices. Well, actually I'll show the vertical sensor right here, but these are kind of way more of a step up than these flip devices. They're vertical, and since they don't flip, they're going to be a lot larger, but can't hear. This one's really, really nice. This was my favorite one because it can emulate GameCube. Hear the music. Definitely a lot better. And for this one to not have the screen kind of look kind of crazy, I do have the borders on there. You can of course hide everything, so it's a much nicer layout here. Yeah, no thanks. So, here's that one. And this is Android. So definitely touch screen. Change the brightness, make it extremely bright. Which is really nice. And to access RetroArch, you can just tap on this little bitty, tap on my finger. Should be able to. There we go. So on here, if I go to the, and I can use this, I don't know why, I'm just used to using touchscreen when I can, I guess. So if I go to full, you'll see in the background here too how it stretches the image. See? So here it'll complete the whole thing with just kind of a stretch layout. It's not too bad though, but I definitely will prefer the black borders to have more of a natural look. This is looks better with a full look just because it's a smaller device. This is a trim UI. This is a Retro Pocket, by the way, Retro Pocket Classic. This is an Android built device. This one's Linux, but very, very powerful. Pretty awesome. It's got RGB on it. Trim UI brick. Colors on here are pretty amazing. This is the daily carry in my pocket because it's so small and not so bulky, and just really, really nice display. And let me turn on the volume here. Turn it up here. It's not too bad. Definitely not as loud as Retro Classic, but this Retroid Classic is very tough. I mean, it's top of the list on all these devices, pretty much. So, just really to show the screen. So, pretty nice. This has a mute, but I forgot how it works. It vibrates whenever I'm toggling this. I think it mutes certain sounds, or maybe I don't have it set up for the right thing for it, but I don't really care because I don't play any of my games with volume, and I'm usually playing like during my break at work or something like that. But this little button will put it into like rest sleep mode. I could turn it back on after a while and continue where I leave on. So it's really great to play, especially like during breaks or, you know, for whenever at work. So these are going to be the handhelds. These are very, very different. This one was my favorite one to play. It's very, very bulky, so it feels really, really nice in your hands, and just the buttons. The screen, though, the colors are definitely not as vivid compared to all the other models that came out after this. This is the Ambernic 3.5 XXSP, and this is a 3.4. Let's look at the difference. And not just the screen aspect ratio. So you see how this one's more of a stretched vertically image to fill the, because I like playing my games full screen. Unless it really makes it worse. But this one, it's more appropriate because of the display. But look at the colors. It's not really the screen brightness. It's really just the colors. This is the difference in the sound. And this is one speaker. Sounds even better than the brick. So I'll turn this down. Not so bad. Seems like it's more mid-tone, and this is probably more high-tone. Definitely louder. And this is the Ambernick 34XXSP, and the flip version for Ambernick, and this was the one that came out before the MIUI flip. I had a lot of issues. I actually had to take apart this screen. As you can see, I used a pick, took it apart, and the hinge, I had to push it down because it was very, very wobbly, and I didn't know what to do. I was looking at other YouTubers, but there's a metal rod that's like right here, and I got a screwdriver, and I just pushed it down. It didn't even look like it was out much. I don't know why I decided to see if it could maybe get more squished in there, but I did, and it went really far deep in there. And I was like, oh, okay. So then after that, I super glued around the area. There's a plastic piece and a metal piece. I just super glued all that little area, and then I used my glue gun and put a little bit of glue gun over that after it dried, and then closed up the case. And it's been pretty good. Now it doesn't really wobble. Well, it doesn't wobble at all. And I can kind of put it in any position. We'll see how long it works, but I was one of the ones with the wobbly hinge. But this one I really like because it has Surwish OS, and I didn't want to had bought for the first time an SD card with games that I'm not even going to be able to use, but I do. You see the difference in color? The Ambernick out of all of the devices I have is the most saturated with just your core options for video shaders being completely off. Looks great. So these two, and they both are very, very similar. They both feel really great, and I don't know why, but I just really, so I love the screen of this one better, and this is the one I play the most outside of the Trim UI brick. I play them two, this one and this one I've used the most, more than this, more than the Retroid Classic. Don't know why. This one is really, really good, especially with once the hinge is not a problem. It's very, very nice. But just knowing how fragile the hinge is, I found myself using this one not so much. But the operating system that it comes with is really, really nice. So that's this. Now this is probably one of the better devices to do games on. Let me go back. It's an Android though. I'm not really used to using Android so much anymore because, like everybody else, I use an iPhone. That's what I'm recording this on, is my iPhone. But this is probably one of the better devices. This is the what is it? The Note 10, Galaxy Note 10 with the GameSir controller. I keep forgetting to hide these controls. You can push that little bitty button and it hides the on-screen controls because, you know, this is the what am I using on here? Oh, I'm actually using Emulation Station. So if you're a Patreon, you can download the link to use Emulation Station on Android devices. And so this one's really, really nice too. Playing on the Note 10, it's a killer phone. It's amazing. The screen looks great. The music is great, stereo. I'm using this, can't zoom out any further, but I'm using this device that makes the controls just feel really, really good. It's always great having physical controls over on screen. So I really, really love using this. This is one of the best preferred ways to use it. If you have an Android phone, an old Android phone, it doesn't really matter which one, they're going to be able to play. Most of those chips are overkill for playing things all the way up to like GameCube or even PSP and PS1. Just like this Note 10, you can find these all over and they can play on pretty much anything. I haven't simulated anything after PS2, and I think some PS2 games, it was more of me not having compatible games with the emulator, having that kind of a problem. But whenever I got a game to play, it was just flawless. So Note 10s are probably the best way to go. Find an old Android phone and get a controller like this with iOS. I don't really game too much on iOS. The best devices to use are going to be something like this. This is a gaming phone. This is an old Red Magic Success. It's amazing. It's got touchscreen controls and these kind of touch hardware triggers for playing things like Call of Duty, but you can also put that same kind of device like this on one of these if you're really, just deciding I'm going to use Android as my main device, and just use an Android gaming phone. You can play everything using this. Everything. Cloud gaming, using controller for things like Steam Link or for emulation. I have emulation games on here right now, so but I don't really use it so much because I prefer these Linux-based devices personally. But again, also, if you're looking for one that just covers everything, you could get something like this, ROG Ally. This is not the Ally X. This is not their new one, the newest one that came out by Xbox. This is just a regular ROG Ally, and honestly, I have had no reason to upgrade whatsoever because this plays everything I've needed to play. I haven't needed to play anything that's struggling with it. Maybe Cyberpunk 2077 or Call of Duty on the highest graphics without any kind of issues, maybe, but I kind of already playing the best graphics that I care to play in right now anyway, which I think it's already set all the way on high. Maybe some things I lowered a bit, like things that required more power, more background textures, but for the most part, I play everything high definition and works great on this. But if you do have an iOS device like an iPhone, you could essentially do the same thing. You could just get Delta, the app, and you can get something like a controller. This one has this messy 3D printer. It's really dirty. Extender. And it's kind of silly, but you could do whole iPad. This is an iPad Pro. It was really tough to do, holding this thing up. And essentially play the whole thing like that. Probably should have planned that out a little bit better, but I'm not like a streamer or anything. And honestly, this looks kind of silly, but it is like pretty fun. And when you're laying down, I can play certain games like Call of Duty. Sorry, I have braces, by the way. Call of Duty, not of Duty. And old emulation games like this. And it feels really, really great just having this big-ass screen on there. So anyway, wanted to show everybody. Wonderful. Beginner domino down. But all the different screens and everything. And what I prefer. I really prefer these two as my daily drivers. Really this one. This is the one that stays in my backpack and I take it to work every single day. And then whenever I'm home, I usually play this one because I like the colors and the aspect ratio, because I play a lot of the games that use this aspect ratio. And these are kind of just sitting in storage, except for my iPad, because I watch like maybe different videos on there. This is my Call of Duty dedicated device for Call of Duty Mobile. This is why I'm the best, or number one. And this one right here is basically a dedicated Cyberpunk and kind of dumb adventure games like Stray or something like that I'll play. And then because I don't want to be sued by Nintendo, I have a Switch that I use strictly for Nintendo games.